Jordan, welcome back to the channel. So Architects have just blessed us with their new release amongst this March madness of album releases. We have their 11th studio album, The Sky, the Earth, and All Between. These guys are metalcore royalty. They've been around the scene for a very long time. After a few albums that sort of lent themselves to a more accessible sound, they have well and truly cranked up the heaviness for this album. We have old sounds, new sounds. This record is a mixture of chaos, melody, breakdowns, and atmosphere. The old and the new coming together into something different and fresh. There's a lot to unpack here, so let's just dive right into the album. This album feels like a direct response to fans who thought Architects have softened over the years. It's heavy, it's emotional, it's experimental in all the right ways. You've got influences ranging from electronic and industrial music to straight up nu metal, all woven into the band's signature sound. It feels like they're speaking directly to the people who think Architects have lost their touch. All these elements woven together to reintroduce and to redefine the signature Architects sound. I feel like I'm going to get very sick of saying Architects over and over again. And I actually wrote that in my notes. So on first listen, you might be thinking, hold up. Wow, this sounds pretty close to the signature Bring Me the Horizon sound. You wouldn't be right, but you wouldn't be wrong at the same time. This album is produced by none other than Jordan Fish, ex Bring Me the Horizon member. You know, British Deftones. The man who played a pivotal role in reshaping and redefining Bring Me the Horizon sound sempiternal onwards. If you're going to get someone on this album to help you redefine your sound and to give it a fresh new perspective, this is the guy to do it. And in my opinion, I think he's done a very good job reshaping the Architect sound. So we have a few standout tracks. We have Whiplash.
Get the fuck out of my sight before I demolish you.
Which is their third single leading up to the album. It was released in 2024. Straight up aggression and a Gordon Ramsay sample. Wow.
Show me your willy!
Elegy as the opening track. It starts off pretty dreamy, smashes into one of the heaviest songs on the album. Blackhole was their fourth single leading up to the album, released in 2025. It's like if you mashed up The Prodigy and Architects together and just put a wicked guitar solo over it. It's stupid, but it works. Evil Eyes, Brain Dead. There's some amazing features on this album and they work so well. At the suggestion of Architects drummer and songwriter Dan Searle and the producer Jordan Fish, Sam worked with a vocal coach for this album to improve his vocals. The result here is you get a lot more control, a lot more emotion in the lyrics, and some of the best melodies that Sam has ever produced. There's a lot more focus on lower screams and diversity in the screams, and his melodies are fantastic. Some of the best work he's done to date. Musically, this album blends Architects' classic intensity with this new, fresh experimentation. And there's plenty of impulse-driven breakdowns, but also there's moments of beauty and depth that make for a dynamic listening experience. So is The Sky, the Earth, and All Between a return to form? Absolutely. It's heavy, it's emotional, it's packed with surprises. But that being said, Architects continue to evolve, and this album proves that they're still at the top of their game. It's Architects kind of as you know them, but not as you know them, like the reboot, but the reboot's pretty accurate to the original, and it's also plays to the new audiences. Without further ado, let's just jump right into the album. Elegy. Elegy is a track that is equal parts defiant, emotional, absolutely crushing. If you love music that hits you right in the soul while also making you want to headbang your fucking head off, this one's definitely for you. Let's break it down. So according to Dan, the drummer, Elegy is about standing strong in the face of adversity and doubt. It's a statement of resilience, a battle cry against all negativity that tries to drag you down, and by God, does it achieve this imagery. Musically, Elegy is a roller coaster. It starts off with a super melodic, almost uplifting vibe, making you think, okay, this is going to be a nice, fun ride. But then, bam, it shifts gears and punches you right in the fucking face, like a metalcore slap to the face. It just hits you so hard.
You got knocked the fuck out!
As the song progresses, it sort of shifts dramatically, delivering a more intense punch with heavy breakdowns that add to the power and urgency of the song. Sam's vocal performance is a clear standout here. He seamlessly switches between beautiful melodic lines and fierce aggressive growls. His delivery really adds emphasis to the emotion of the song. It's melodic, it's catchy, mixed with heavy, brutal sections. It's a song that feels both empowering and intense at the same time. The lyrics seem to focus on a reflection of overcoming suffering and betrayal, finding clarity in pain. Lines like, I took the fire to the fuse, implying that they're using their pain to fuel their strength. An Elegy is a song for the dead. It could symbolize a death of the old school sound of Architects and like introducing this new style of song. It could also just represent them leaving something behind or a nod to past albums or a past sound that isn't really going to be reintroduced anytime soon. There's a reference to Dracula, implying someone who is parasitic, draining, and cold. Living but dead to the world suggests an emotional numbness. And then we get to the breakdown, which kind of symbolizes a moment of like reversal, where now the band is in the position of control and they're rejecting their adversaries. Yeah, just some great lines in here. So Elegy is that perfect mix of melody and aggression, where every note feels earned, every breakdown feels massive, and every lyric hits deep. Architects have mastered the art of blending beauty and brutality in one track. Some great lyricism. I love the melodies in this. I love the guitar work. A high energy way to start an album and a very strong way to start an album. All right, buckle the fuck up. The next one is Whiplash.
Everything is going to be fine.
This track is an absolute monster. It's heavy, it's raw, it's packed with attitude. According to Dan, Whiplash is all about tribalism and the way we struggle to get along with each other. And you feel that aggression in every single second of the track. Sam mentioned they wanted a riff with like a bouncy Limp Bizkit style party energy with the brutality of like Slipknot's Iowa album. And I think they delivered it here. They wanted a big boy riff, his words, not mine. And they achieved the big boy riff. This is the biggest of boys in terms of riffs. It's a fun riff. It's slammed, it's groovy, it's rhythmic. Really kind of what you come to expect from an Architects album. Architects are one of those bands that have phenomenal guitar work, and it's always been a highlight of their albums for me. My first reaction to this, I just wrote, fuck yeah. This one slaps from like second one. The intro slamming kind of gives me like a baby metal vibe. I don't know why. It might just be like the Japanese metal style kind of intro that ticks something in my reptilian brain. Yeah, very Bring Me the Horizon. You can really hear Jordan Fisher's influence on tracks like this. Sam Carter's vocals are insane. You got the Bring Me the Horizon vibe, but it's also uniquely Sam. Sam has this really cool technique where he screams but to a melody, and it works really well. A lot of bands have replicated that kind of sound. Polaris do it quite a bit. Even a SoundCloud artist, Slen, does a lot of screams that way. I'm trying to be better now, better now. Yeah, you got 808s, super subby basses, very cool production on this. Yeah, the section leading up to the breakdown has some really cool electronic elements to it. The actual breakdown itself feels very Bad Omens to me. It might just be the motherfucker. It feels very modern, a very modern way to use breakdowns. And the way that they're using breakdowns in these tracks is very sparingly. It's not overwhelming you with these sections. It's just sort of sprinkled in there to be like, here it is, and then it brings everything together. Oh, dude, that fucking ending. The ending to this track is insane. We slow things down, a bit more of a slam breakdown, and then we round it out with a Gordon Ramsay sample. I mean, that's absolutely nuts. Legendary use of sampling right there. I feel like every metalcore song needs to have some sort of Gordon Ramsay sample in there at some point. Another example of great lyricism. We got lyrics like, every rodent wants to live in a gilded cage till the soldiers come and take your tongue. Basically calling out people in power, politicians, monarchs, people who live in luxury. Yeah, some really cool lyricism here, really adding to the theme of the song here and the message that they're trying to get out with their lyricism. The vibe here is pure confrontation. It's angry, it's rebellious, it's dripping in defiance. It calls out hypocrisy, power struggles, and the chaos of the world, all wrapped up in one of the heaviest bangers Architects have produced in years. Okay, hold on to your hats because this one's gonna get windy. Heckin' windy. That's so stupid. The next track is Blackhole. This is one of the heaviest tracks Architects have done. Holy shit! Sam described this as one of his favorite tracks from the album. It's one of the last songs that they finished all together in the studio. If it's going to be heavy, they made it crushingly heavy. If it's going to be sad, let's make it devastating. Yeah, this is Architects at their most ferocious. There's a music video for this track too. The music video is insane. It's shot in an abandoned factory in LA. They actually filmed on top of massive like scaffolding, like building, something like that. It's like an industrial rig of some sorts. No green screen, real heights, real fear, especially for Sam who has a fear of heights. Nuts, dude. Adam even did a real solo strapped in while being suspended. It's fucking crazy. Who's the madman that directed this music video? None other than Jensen.
This guy's worked with everybody. Ice Nine Kills, Falling in Reverse, 21 Pilots, Black Veil Brides, Bring Me the Horizon, I See Stars.
Really cool music video. This one hits like a sledgehammer. It's pure chaos, pure power. The sludgy verses are disgusting. And then we hit the chorus, kind of a classic Architect style chorus, massive, melodic, lots of full layers, some subtle synths and leads sort of working their way in the mix there, adding like a kind of eerie atmosphere. One of the filthiest breakdowns I've ever heard in my fucking life. Sam's low growls are intense. Stop falling down, you fucking piece of shit. We are experiencing technical difficulties. People used to criticize Architects for not being very versatile, especially Sam with his vocals. This track kind of shuts that all down for me. Again, Sam sort of pioneered scream singing technique. Just listen to the older stuff. Some of those screams are melodic as hell. The track opens with, "Is there nothing but the cold at the center of a black hole?" Right away, we're thrown into an existential dread. Is there any meaning? Is there just emptiness? And then, bitch. It's such a Whiplash moment, like you're deep in thought and then suddenly thrown back into reality. This track is raw, it's nihilistic, it's furious, it's a middle finger to conformity, to power struggles, and the whole idea of security in an unstable world. Please watch the music video. It is awesome. The next track, hello. Am I in focus? Why? Correct? Are we in focus? Are we good? You good? The next track is Everything Ends. I could be the last one killing the pain. Now, Everything Ends is a major shift from not just the other tracks, but the previous singles released before the album came out. Everything Ends is the 5th single from the album. It was released on February 24th of this year, 2025, where the last 3 tracks were an all-out heavy saga. This one leans more into the melodic and atmospheric territory, showing a completely different side to the band and the album. It's very obviously produced by Jordan Fish. I don't say that in a bad way, I say that in the best way possible. It explains a lot of the polish and the cinematic feel to it. Dan described the song as deeply personal to him. He wrote that this is about acknowledging that no matter how much I am suffering in a particular moment, that suffering will end. This could be dying, but it could also be when you're in a bad space and it feels like it's forever. And then you wake up one day like, oh, I feel kind of better. And I don't know when that started happening. A lot of the song plays out like a conversation. It's almost like an internal dialogue or a message to a loved one. Dan talks about how suffering affects those around us, especially our partners who often bear the brunt of our struggles. The intro with I think it might just be the keys, but it gives me a Linkin Park vibe to the intro. It could literally just be the keys, and that's like, again, reptilian brain, but there's a definite hit of nostalgia, I think, with this intro. Yeah, it kind of just gives me like Minutes to Midnight's vibe. Super catchy melodies, great vocals. Sam's delivery again is on point. The focus to improve his vocals really comes through on tracks like this, where there's much more of a focus on the melodic side of his vocals. The guitar work, super smooth, fluid, clean, perfectly placed. Layers upon layers of soundscape. The rolling bass subs, there's synth textures, reverb soaked leads. It reminds us that metalcore doesn't always have to be breakdowns or screams every single fucking second. It can be complex, it can be layered, it can be diverse, it can tap into different parts of what makes metalcore such a great genre. But when the heavy moments do hit, they feel earned. They're used sparingly to maximize their impact within the song. There's a hint of denial in the lyrics. Lyrics like, "And if I don't feel right, blame it on the weather." It feels like there's like a refusal to take responsibility, blaming outside forces instead of facing personal struggles. This plays into what Dan was talking about in his breakdown of the song, dealing with people around us, our partners, our friends, and how we often bear the brunt of our struggles ourselves. I'm dying here, but everything ends, hinting to the title of the track, the ultimate acceptance of life's cycle, pain, struggle, and eventually the resolution. The title of the track could also be a reference to Slipknot's song of the same title, Everything Ends, from their album Iowa.
This is the end of everything. You're the end of everything.
They did say Iowa was an influence on their tracks for this album. It could be a possible reference there. Everything Ends kind of highlights that Architects aren't just about pure heaviness. They can write massive melodic anthems too. It's a moment of reflection and emotional weight in what's shaping up to be one of the most diverse albums to date. Bringing back those hardcore vibes with Brain Dead. This is one of the most fun and chaotic tracks on the album. It was their sixth and final single before the album release. It came out in 26th of February of 2025. Dan said this is probably the most fun song for them on the record, and you can really tell by just listening to it. This track is straight up hardcore punk banger, filled with energy, a bit of tongue-in-cheek humor. They had the concept for Brain Dead for a while, and it perfectly fit this chaotic, rebellious sound. The song tackles modern life and how we numb ourselves, whether it's through phones, alcohol, weed.
Damn, I'm fucking high, boy.
Media brainwashing, or just straight up plain ignorance. It's like, would we rather be dumb and ignorant? Maybe. And that's kind of what makes the song feel kind of relatable. Let's talk about the collab. Wow. It works so fucking well. This track is a collaboration between Architects and House of Protection. This is the new project from Stephen Harrison and Eric Improta, who you might know from Fever 333, Night Versus, The Chariot. These guys bring a raw, high-energy, post-hardcore punk electronica vibe, inspired by bands like The Prodigy, Massive Attack, and Sleigh Bells. I love bringing back hardcore punk. Let's implement some of those vibes into this. This one just goes super hard. Again, we get some wicked subs and synths, and it's pretty fucking heavy too. Chorus, anthem, playing this in the car, go on the speed limit. Verse 2, Eric Improta does his thing. I love it. He fits so well on this track. All the elements sort of play really well. I think the inclusion of Stephen Harrison, Eric Improta, it fits so well for a track like this, and they know how to use their features effectively. To boil it down, it just fucking works. It just works really well. And then we get through the song. On first listen, I'm thinking, here comes a breakdown, and that is a breakdown. I can see people absolutely getting destroyed in the pit to this song. It's just fun. It's just a fun track, and I think music should really focus sometimes on just being enjoyable and fun. I don't think every song needs to sort of transcend new heights. Like, obviously try new things, explore new genres and elements like how they're doing in tracks like this. But I think the key focus is always what is going to be enjoyable for not only us, but for the listeners. Within the lyrics, there's a satisfaction in the chaos of life, like bliss in the apocalypse. There's a sense of frustration, self-doubt, feeling trapped, a desire to numb everything. The breakdown talks about being brain dead, like an error in the source code, losing agency over your own life. There's like a overlaying theme of existential nihilism. The song fully embraces that nothing matters. It's just let's go fucking hard. It's chaotic, it's raw, a total adrenaline rush, a real punk anthem for the numb generation, and it hits hard. Okay, let's dive into possibly my favorite of the album, I think, potentially. The next track is Evil Eyes.
This right here is my favorite thing ever.
in the history of forever.
Definitely one, if not my all-time favorite from this album. This song is about a battle with your own anxiety, personifying anxiety as something external, something to fight against, symbolized by the evil eyes watching. There's frustration, there's anger, there's struggle. Ultimately, this track is about overcoming that, and personifying anxiety as a thing is a very cool lyrical way to express the struggle with anxiety and your own personal struggle with anxiety. I think it's a really cool lyrical tool to use. I always really like when people use symbolism or personify things that aren't actual living, breathing things. So while the track is dark and aggressive, at its core, the song is actually really positive. It's about survival and overcoming things that hold you back within yourself. Right off the bat, I'm getting Hybrid Theory vibes, like a raw nu metal energy, Deftones, 100%. You know, I was like waiting for it when it was building up. I was like, where is it? Where's that chorus? Where's that chorus? And then boom. Deftones chorus. Love it. Fucking love it. It's atmospheric. It's shoegazy, but with that signature Architects metalcore edge. This is why I love this new evolution that metalcore is going through. You see bands blending influences. So in this case, it's like Linkin Park and Deftones, but Architects make it completely their own, and it turns into this completely new sound entirely. And with the introduction of Jordan Fisher's production, the electronic elements woven throughout the song are done so well. It's super polished, but it's not overdone, not overproduced. The guitar solo, amazing. Honestly, this track is just really well put together. It's heavy, but it's also pretty at the same time. Architects have always been fans of music. They did a really cool cover of Territorial Pissings, sort of shows you influences on their music and how they incorporate that into their new music. Territorial Pissings, shout out. Focus on me, please. Thank you. Lyrically, the song focuses on paranoia and the feeling of being surveilled, conveyed through the imagery of evil eyes. Gives this feeling of being constantly judged, being watched. Very relatable if you do suffer from anxiety. There's some venom in some of the verses, calling someone a snake, a hypocrite. It definitely has some personal wounds woven into the track. A spear through the side could drown me, but I survive. That's kind of the heart of the song for me. Even when everything's against you, you push against it. So at its core, Evil Eyes is a song about fighting your demons, refusing to be controlled by anxiety, pushing forward no matter what. God damn, does it deliver. I personally love this direction that Architects are going in. The mix of Deftones and Linkin Park with metalcore is done so well. It ticks all the right boxes for me. To fall back on the reptilian brain thing, it just, something in there goes, yes, this works. As a fan of Linkin Park and Deftones and shoegaze and that experimental side of metal and new metal, hard rock, I think ticks a lot of boxes for me. Next track is Landmines. Dan described this one as a song about self-destruction and the excuses we make for not improving ourselves. He talks about knowing what he needs to do to be a better person, but ignoring it anyway, which is something I think everyone can really relate to. We all know what's good for us, but we put it off. We make excuses. We justify our own apathy. The song is a reflection of that struggle. First impressions, I just wrote this riff is sick. Classic Architects energy, tight guitars, punchy drums. Is there a Better Off Alone reference in there? Maybe I might be reaching with that. The lyric kind of got me thinking about it. I don't know. Could be old man yelling at cloud. What a catchy chorus, man! It's massive. A very catchy chorus. It makes me want to thrash around and just smash everything in my room. My head did not stop bopping once. One thing I love with this Jordan Fish production is the introduction of hyper poppy, glitchy elements that he throws in there very sparingly. They don't overpower the track. They just kind of enhance it. It's like seasoning. It's like he just seasons these tracks. It really just adds so much to the songs that just, again, here it is, reptilian brain. There's something in there. Ooh, yep. Oh, that's it. There it is. There it is. Reptilian Brain's going crazy with this album. Powerful breakdown. Just enough to hit really hard without taking away from the momentum that the rest of the song sets up. Just a perfect balance for me. Lyrically, the song focuses self-destruction, emotional numbness, avoiding responsibility, pushing problems aside instead of actually confronting them head on. Doomed to repeat until the end of never. The endless loop of making the same mistakes over and over and over again. It's dark, but there's a weird sense of hope buried in there that kind of pushes through. Sonically and emotionally, Landmines is probably one of the best songs that they've produced for this album. It's got that classic Architects feel, but it has that fresh element that keeps it evolving. Very solid track. Judgment Day.
This is the greatest thing I have ever seen in my life!
Another potential top track, one of my favorite tracks on the album. Full-blown industrial metalcore anthem, blending again nu metal vibes, orchestral madness, straight up digital dread. Holy shit, this track goes hard. So many great elements here, and a feature from one of my favorite artists, Amira Elfaki. Let's be real, kills it, this feature. Absolutely kills it. Dan wrote that Judgment Day is kind of an old man song. It's about that feeling of dread we get from the internet constantly bombarding us with bad news. Like, are we even built to process this much information all the time? And for young people growing up in this digital storm, yeah, it's rough. Heavy theme, heavy track, it just fits.
Technology!
I love, with a capital L, love Amira Elfaki. She's an absolute powerhouse in the alt metal scene, blending nu metal, orchestral rock, dark cinematic soundscapes. She's toured with bands like Evanescence, The Used, Story of the Year. So seeing her here, yeah, it's gonna slap from the get-go. Like I said, there's kind of like an industrial vibe to this track, sort of taps into like Rammstein, nu metal-esque. Amira's voice is perfection here, works so well, especially within the chorus, blending that with Sam's vocals. It works so perfectly. The production on Sam's voice, crazy. You can hear every ounce of emotion. Banger of a chorus. Verse 2, Amira, her voice is so pretty yet so haunting at the same time. It adds so much depth to the song. Oh, dude, the breakdown with the synths, holy shit. Amira's signature belt over the breakdown, a classic. Iconic, man. Iconic. And then you hit us with that whisper right before clapping back into the chorus. That was way too sexy. How dare you do that? How dare you do that to me?
The cheek, the nerve, the gall, the audacity, and the gumption.
And that ending, it's just perfection. This track is everything to me. I love it. This might be one of my top tracks of 2025. I think it is. I think it actually is. Jumping into the lyrics, we got a deep theme of digital overload, existential dread, weight of constantly being judged, lines like escape from your reality. There's like a need to break free from the overwhelming forces and chaos of the digital age. Asleep under the guillotine could be a sense of detachment from the world around us. We see so many horrible things every single day now in this digital age that we're sort of desensitized to how horrific the world is.
Sometimes the world looks...
Again, almost being too desensitized to do anything. Leave me in binary is such a cool lyric. It could symbolize the digital isolation, feeling more machine than person. Yeah, these lyrics hit hard. The whole song is like a gut punch to how overwhelming and exhausting the modern life can be. And paired with the massive industrial sound, it's an experience as a whole. Lyrics fit so well with the production of the song. Yeah, if I can close this with anything, it's just that this is a monster of a track. I will be an Amira Elfaki stan for the rest of my life. Yeah, this one, hey, you know it's coming. You know it's fucking coming. Amira Elfaki tickles my reptilian brain like no other artist on this planet. So thank you, Amira. Next track is Broken Mirror.
Take me to the place where the heavens are haunted.
What is Broken Mirror about? According to Dan, Broken Mirror it's a moment of self-criticism. It's looking in the mirror, not liking what you see. Dan describes it as being mad at himself for being a bad partner, and Sam reassures him that this raw honesty is exactly what makes the song work. It's a very emotional track. The emotional weight of this track, the lyrics are heavy, it's personal, it's brutal, it's self-aware. That is what makes for great songwriting, is vulnerability, showing us who you are and the things you struggle with, and the relatability that the audience has with you. I agree with Sam. I think it's the best way to write music like this. If you're going to be vulnerable and going to be deep and personal, go all the fuck in. Dispel everything. Give us everything that you have. Right from the jump, there's a wavy intro, emotional, sets the mood, atmospheric. Architects know how to create space within sections. Strong Bad Omens vibes. I'm getting a little bit of Dayseeker vibes as well from this, like the soaring melodies mixed with the raw heaviness. And boom, that chorus hits you. Man, you feel that chorus. It's a song that deserves to be screamed at the top of your lungs driving down a highway. Best application for it. Classic Architects breakdown. They never miss. It's a sick breakdown as well. Yeah, super underrated breakdown on this one. Kind of starts off again, kind of like a Deftones style in the breakdown, and like Sam's low growls just add so much emphasis to these sections. Now, I know people love to call out bands when they follow a pretty certain structure or a repetitive structure. You could argue Architects are following a similar structure for a lot of their songs here. You got catchy hook, airy verses, breakdowns, back to the chorus.
Fucking next level. It's simple, but next level.
But honestly, is that such a bad thing to have a solid foundation that works and then deliver songs that are sonically very different but have pretty straightforward structure? I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's fun, it's engaging. At this stage of the career, Architects have nothing to prove. They're metalcore giants, they're royalty. All they're sort of doing is redefining their sound and kind of being like, this is what we want to do, this is who we are. We still fucking have it, dude. We still fucking have it. Lyrically, the song captures internal struggle. Some days you feel like a tidal wave, other days you feel stuck, like a lake that leaves no trace. There's a contrast of extreme emotion, different bodies of water, so there's an imagery of drowning there. There's a recurring theme of feeling trapped, exhausted, unable to escape pain, and lines like, I've had enough of staring at the sun. The pre-chorus is deeply isolating. It's this feeling of pushing people away before they even get a chance to really understand you. In the chorus, it's almost like searching for a connection in a place that's both sacred and broken at the same time. A more conflict in the second verse, two saints and a hand grenade. Great imagery, I love that lyric. Captures that push-pull between peace and aggression. And then the broken mirror metaphor throughout the song, it's about fractured identity symbolism, looking at yourself and not recognizing what you see. Overall, Broken Mirror is a perfect example of what Architects do best, blending emotional vulnerability with crushing instrumentals. Yeah, I think at this point of their career, staying true to themselves is what keeps them relevant, and this song is a testament to that. But, you know, what do you think? Does Broken Mirror hit as hard for you as it does for me? Let me know down in your comments. The next track is Curse. This was the first single following Seeing Red. Deals with personal aging, disillusionment, the toll of pursuing an idealized life. Dan reflects on the fear of aging, influenced by the death of his brother at a young age. This one's fast-paced, aggressive, high energy throughout the entire song. Again, you hear the Jordan Fish influence on the chorus. Glitchy elements polishing it. Sam screams, amazing again. Fits seamlessly within the song. A very catchy chorus, great breakdown again, exploring dynamics within the song. I think the guitars again are a standout in tracks like this. Very intricate, very powerful. It's a very refined track. Every element's polished to perfection. Classic wicked metalcore with an emotional edge. The lyrics follow disillusionment and regret. There's a paradoxical desire for both freedom and pain in I Still Wish for the Worst, as free as a bird. A sense of feeling stuck, wanting to move forward but burdened by past losses, so the tired of burning these boats. Could also be a reference to the passing of Tom, Dan's brother and band member, as burning boats is a Viking tradition for funerals. Post-chorus explores a sense of doom, hearing the end of the world and lines like the credits roll and I'm afraid it's the end of the earth. Yeah, I think they've really nailed this new style that Architects are going for. It has that classic Architects style, but obviously they're transcending that and blending new elements into their music and giving it a fresh new perspective. You really hear it on tracks like this. Okay, moving on to Seeing Red.
Are you happy now?
Red free, living on, R.I.P. the God.
Dude,
This was the first single released before the album came out. This was released all the way back in the 4th of December 2023. This song really got people hyped up to hear the new sound that Architects were exploring with being produced by Jordan Fish. This track is packed with raw energy, heavy riffs, a whole lot of attitude. It marks a return to the band's roots while still pushing boundaries and navigating a new direction. It's a direct response to all the critics and the fans who have been very vocal about the changing sound for Architects. Seeing Red sees Architects confront the backlash they've received after moving away from their metalcore roots. Over the last couple of albums, they've shifted to a more affirmative metal sound, which didn't really sit well with some fans. They were criticized for not being heavy enough, and some even said that the band was dead, and comments like RIP. But instead of just throwing up their middle finger, the track serves as a firm but somewhat playful response to those critics.
What the fuck is up, Kyle?
Sam, in an interview with Nick Nocturnal, said this track is their way of saying, yeah, we get it, but fuck you. Dan revealed that this song came together from a place of frustration. Before this album, the band made a couple of records that were less heavy, and the internet had a lot to say about it. Dan took that very personally, and then the idea of seeing Red was born. This song came from the idea of writing a heavy track about fans wanting them to be heavy, but with a little bit of humor mixed in. And this track is definitely heavy. It's 100% heavy. We even have the return of the Blair. Yay! The Blair is back. We're back in 2010s. I miss the Blair. We need more Blair. The breakdown of this one is nuts. It gets so intense. There's a clip of like an audience cheering, adding to the irony of the metalcore only fans who only seem to appreciate breakdowns. Sam's not holding back with this one. Throughout the song, the lyrics emphasize how the band is constantly being judged and projected upon by fans, especially for those who don't understand the band's evolution and the evolution of the metalcore genre as a whole. If you're a fan of metalcore, especially that old school metalcore sound, you're going to feel right at home with the opening of this track. It's hard, it's aggressive, it's filled with classic metalcore moments, but it's also refreshing in the same way. You can tell that Architects are having fun, particularly with this track. It's very unapologetically doing what they want to do. Seeing Red here is a phrase which just means being really pissed off. In this context, it's a jab to the fans who only appreciate the band when they're angry and screaming. Sam and the band are saying, you love us when we're mad, but we're much, much more than that. And I need to go back to the Blair. I need to focus on the Blair.
Shut up about this. Shut up about this.
I have a whole blurb about the Blair. The Blair is an iconic metalcore trope. I don't know where it started. That might be a different video entirely. Sam, though, helped make it famous, I think. Sam's grown quite tired of it. He writes that he regrets making the noise. It's funny and ironic little moments in these songs, that especially considering that the Blair is one of the most beloved things within the metalcore world. I love the reintroduction of it. I think it's very funny, especially in a song where you're literally saying to people who can't get over the fact that metalcore has evolved and changed to be like, yeah, all right, we fucking get it. We get it. You like old school metalcore, but it's not 2010 anymore. It's not, unfortunately. You ought to know that I'm like a broken machine. I'm not as bulletproof as you all paint me to be. This line hits hard. It's about how fans expect the band to be invincible, impervious to their criticism, but Sam saying they're human too. They feel the weight of what's going on, of what's being said, and it hurts. Time hasn't frozen. Why do you want me to scream? Here they're taking an aim at people who criticize the band for not making the same type of music they did years ago. Time moves on and so does music. The band has evolved and Sam is saying it's time for a change. He's not just going to scream his way through life. Are you a junkie punk medicating for free? I love this line. This is a playful insult aimed to the fans who don't understand the band's evolution and just want them to stick to the same formula over and over and over again. It's also a dig at the punk roots of metalcore, referring to junkie punk, someone who lives in the past and refuses to adapt. Gee, thanks so much for the death threat. Pretty self-explanatory, that one. Some fans, particularly online, have been sending death threats to Sam and the band for their shift in sound, which is fucking wild to send someone death threats for just not doing the same music that they've been doing for 10 years. Crazy. Very tongue-in-cheek response to the toxicity that they've had to face, especially when releasing new music. Architects have seen more success than ever with more recognition, more streams, more live shows, despite the negativity they face online. Yeah, to me, Seeing Red is more than just a song. It's a statement, and Architects are telling their critics that they're not going to bend to the whims of online trolls or critiques. They're going to do what feels right for them and right for the industry at the time. At the end of the day, this track is a massive fuck you to all the haters, and I love that. And lastly, we come to Chandelier. The album is over. I don't want it to end, but it is ending, and it ends in a very beautiful way. There's so much to unpack in both the music and the lyricism. To start with, Dan mentioned that closing an album... No, don't do that. My cat really wants to say hi. Yeah. What do you think about the album? Do you like the album? Do you see red?
Why are we still here?
Dan mentioned that closing an album is always a tough task, but Chandelier was purpose-built to be the album's closer. He shared that the song holds a bit of the same emotional DNA as their earlier track, Elegy, which makes sense since they wanted something to feel like a natural conclusion to the journey. Initially, Dan described the song as feeling quite bleak lyrically, but after the final mix, he had a shift. What seemed like a dark song was becoming more and more beautiful. He saw it as a reflection of how life is beautiful and how the world will keep evolving even after we are gone. It's a reminder that we're here to experience it, witness it, and understand it, but ultimately life will move on without us, and that is okay. Chandelier starts off much softer compared to some of the other tracks we've heard on the album. It's got this very pretty soundscape, and the whole track builds around it very nicely. You're almost lulled into it, and then the chorus hits, and it's so catchy. The production is done very well on this track. The vocals are very clean, impactful. I love the bass. It's deep, it's resonant. Layers of sound make it feel so rich. Again, the soundscape on this track is insane. It's very reminiscent for me, and this fits very well with the Jordan Fish production. The way that That's the Spirit finishes with Oh No, a bit more of an airy, sort of spaced out, emotional song, less heavier than everything else on the album. It's boppy, it's fun, it kind of makes you want to move. It's a perfect closer to me. I liked how Bring Me the Horizon ended That's the Spirit with Oh No. I think Architects achieve the same feeling here with closing the song up with Chandelier. You can hear the physical and emotional exhaustion in Sam's voice. Lines like beaten up and weaker now reflect this deep, overwhelming fatigue from life's challenges. It's almost like they're drained physically and mentally and emotionally. There's a theme of isolation here, by myself, driving when my eyes are closed. They create this imagery of being lost and unsure, maybe even unsafe in the choices that they're making. There's a yearning to escape. Can anybody take me home? It's like they just want to find safety and comfort in the pain that they're experiencing. There's this existential element. The line, was I dead or was I dreaming, speaks to real loss of connection and reality. They don't know if they're alive or if they're just numb to everything going on around them, questioning their own existence and feeling raw. One of the most powerful lines in the track is the reference to the chandelier, one less light in the chandelier. It could represent a feeling of insignificance, like one person's presence could just fade away without making much of a difference. And the outro, there's a recurring reference to the chandelier. It feels like a sense of resignation. It's as if they've accepted their fate, and this is the light slowly fading out till there's nothing left. In the end, Chandelier is a beautiful but haunting track that leaves you thinking. It's a perfect bookend for the album, just like Dan said. It brings everything full circle, reminding us that life moves on and we're just here to enjoy and witness it while we can. And that is the entire album. What did I think of the album? I fucking love this album. I think it's a great direction for the band to go into, exploring this new direction they're sort of taking. Yeah, I've listened to this album a few times and nothing on the album really makes me go, yeah, I can kind of skip this one. Every single track really hits well for me. Yeah, standouts like Evil Eyes, Judgment Day, fantastic songs. I love those songs. I'm excited to see the next step, if there is a next step for the band, where they sort of go from here. I'm particularly excited about this sort of new evolution for metalcore, this incorporation of blending genres and different parts of of like old school metalcore, the nostalgia sort of thing, blending that with what metalcore is now and trying new experimental things. Tracks like Brain Dead explore this like nostalgic thing where metalcore obviously deriving somewhat from hardcore, tapping into those old school roots, but also going in like a brand new direction for it and trying new different things and working with a new evolution of hardcore punk. It's like nostalgic, but it's also transcending and new and futuristic at the same time. They've utilized their features really well. Jordan Fish, I think, should produce every single fucking metalcore album ever. I think he's a great producer. He's done some amazing things for the band here. And I guess to close this out, I would just say, fuck critics. I don't give a shit what critics think. I don't think you should give a shit what critics think. I don't think you should give a shit what I think. I think you should formulate your own opinions on this. What do you think about the album? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Is there something missing from it? Did you not enjoy it? I think it's all, as with anything music related, it's all subjective. Obviously there's objective things like from a production standpoint, maybe you could sort of critique music for, but I think at the end of the day, it's subjectively, how does it make you feel? Did you enjoy it? If you did enjoy it, good. Who cares? Who cares what fucking Pitchfork thinks? In that same vein, I don't want to give albums a rating system. I might just give it like an arbitrary. This album gets 9 Nintendo 64 cartridges out of 12. How about that? And with that, I'm going to sign off. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. I'm going to be doing lots of different album reviews. I have a couple other series that I'm working on as well. I aim to post pretty regularly, but I am ADHD as fuck and work a full-time job, so it is quite hard to work that in, but I'll be trying my darndest. With that being said, thank you very much for watching this video. See you next time, and don't forget to feed that little reptilian brain of yours. Bye, guys.